All right, everyone in this world full of labels wants to know what my label is. Am I a normie? Am I a goth? Am I a baby bat? Am I a mama bat? What am I? I don't. I've never. I grew. I've always had a sense of style that was my own. Even when I was in elementary school, I didn't dress the way that the other girls dressed. I thought the way they dressed looked silly. It was the acid washed jeans with that folded down in the front. It was like, okay, what's the point? It doesn't look cool at all. Um, so I've always had a fashion sense of my own, and my fashion sense comes from the. I guess if you were to call it something, it would be called goth, because when I grew up, there were different. There was dark wave, there was new wave, there was punk, and I don't really fit into any of those categories. But I will tell you that I grew up. I loved the Adams Family. I still watch the Adams Family today on a regular basis. I don't watch any new television series. I don't watch any new TV. So, on my Hulu or my Netflix, I got the Adams Family, the Munsters, um, anything with Elvira, anything with Vampira or Vampira, anything with Bela Lugosi. Um, but when I look at these women, Morticia, Elvira, Vampira, Lily Munster. These are women who are strong women. These women knew what they were about. They knew who they were. They were secure in who they were. And to hell with the world if they didn't understand who they were or what they were about. They didn't care. They lived in their own world. They thought they didn't care that you might not have thought that the people that they thought were cool people. And I feel the same way. And the other thing about these women, Vampira, Elvira, Morticia, and Lily Munster, is when I looked at these women, these were the most beautiful women I'd ever seen in my entire life. From the time I'm a little girl, I think these are the most beautiful women I have ever seen. Strong, beautiful women. Elvira was kooky, she's funny, she shakes her boobs, and she uses what she's got. But she's hilarious. She's a strong female personality. She knows who she is, and she's not going to take shit from people, but she can still be funny. Um, and she had her Aunt Morgana, who left her the witch's book, and just the hilarious adventures of Elvira. Then you have Morticia Adams, a very good, loving mother to her children, a very good, loving wife to her husband. Her husband worships the ground she walks on. And, this woman is strong, and she doesn't care um, that they think that, Vlad the Impaler is cool. They don't care that you think he might be a terrible person, but because they're a little offbeat and strange. They think he's cool, and so I'm like that. I like that too. Lily Munster, I don't know about her. I think she cheated on. I think she cheated on Herman to have a werewolf baby, but I loved that. I love that gray streak in her hair. Like I might actually go for that look because, as you can see, I am gray, honey. I am so gray that I need to dye my hair. But if I could get that one gray streak, that would be awesome. I would rock that. So I love Lily Munster. Vampira was just beautiful. And in fact, a few years ago, Scott Michaels, a friend of mine, who runs a website called Find a Grave. When we found out that she did not have enough money for a headstone, we actually raised money to buy her a headstone. But of course, the only Elvira's still alive, and I actually kind of bumped into Elvira, but I didn't know who she was. She's a tiny woman, but I kind of literally bumped into her, but she was not done up as Elvira. She was Cassandra Peterson. She was her real normie self. And so I didn't recognize her. So when I almost literally bumped into her, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But so that's my near almost meeting Elvira. So I almost bumped into her as she walked past me, and I didn't know who she was. I didn't recognize her outside of costume, and she's a pretty woman, but I think she's prettier as Elvira. So I love Elvira. But I don't think there'll ever be another Elvira or Vampira. Definitely. See, a lot of people debate Angelica Houston, Morticia versus Carolyn Jones's Morticia. I'm a Carolyn Jones Morticia fan. And Angelica Houston did an okay job. Raul Julia did an okay job. But you can't replace the originals. And the fact that that the man who plays Gomez Addams is still alive. I wish if they didn't cast him, would have at least given him cameos. But I'm not a real big fan of the Addams Family movies because I didn't really care for the casting. No offense, Christina Ricci, who played Wednesday Addams in the movies. But I didn't like the way that the adults were cast. When you're a big fan of the original, it's hard to look at the sequels and, anyway. So that's sort of where my fashion sense has come from, is just from a very young age, just finding these to be strong, positive, beautiful role models, and I wanted to be like them. And the fact that they weren't blondes. Like, when I was growing up, it was all blondes all the time. It was Christy Brinkley. It was Farrah Fawcett. It was, when you're a kid, you watch She-Ra. She-Ra's a blonde. Barbie's a blonde. Everybody's blonde. And I had dark hair. And I'm darker complected. And so these women all had dark hair. So, I'm like, hey, I could be beautiful like them because, we kind of have the same basic template. Because when you're a kid, even something as big as a hair color difference actually makes a difference to you. These are big differences. And And the fact that my brother's blonde hair, blue eyed, and my female cousin was blonde hair, blue eye, and my other cousin that I hung out with all the time, they were all blonde hair, blue eyed, cousins and my brother, and so I was always the odd one out. So again, looking at these girls, I knew they were outcasts, and I kind of always felt like an outcast. So, I sort of unconsciously adopted a lot of their fashion sense. I love their fashion. Back when I was young, like 5th grade, you could not get black lipstick or black nail polish except at Halloween time. And so my mom came home one day with a bottle of black nail polish, and I instantly put it on my fingers, and I went to school and instantly was called a witch. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm a witch, and it stuck. And, even in high school when, I thought I would try and dress the way that, the popular people dress, sort of a little bit of preppy, because grunge was in fashion, and I didn't like grunge. I like to have good personal hygiene. I'm not a stoner, so I didn't really hang out with the rockers. I mean, I did, but they still really weren't my scene because I wasn't into smoking marijuana or cutting class. So that wasn't really my group. The preppies weren't really my group. I tried to dress like them, but there really weren't any preppies at my school that I can remember. Um, you had your jocks, you had your drama geeks, your geeks. You had the stoners, you had the rappers who wore baggy clothes. Sometimes I wore baggy clothes, but I still didn't feel comfortable in that fashion either. But I tried to be normal in high school because you want to fit in. So I didn't really do the fashion that I felt comfortable with. And when I was 13 years old and my mother and my adoptive father were going through a divorce, I met my real father, my biological father, who basically told me that my fashion sense sucked. And so he and his wife took me to every department store known to man on a weekend that they had me, and they totally changed my wardrobe and bought me all of these fashionable, what they thought were fashionable clothes for me, because he had 13 years to make up for. But they were buying clothes that I didn't want, and they were dressing me in clothes that I didn't want to wear. Because they thought that my fashion sense was horrible. And it was like, well, I kind of don't have a fashion sense because when I was in junior high school, and even in high school for a little while, there was no Hot Topic. There was no place to buy the clothes that I wanted to wear, to dress like Morticia. And if I would have went to school looking like Elvira, I would have been kicked out of school for showing my breasts, for having shirts that were too low cut. But I wanted to, again, I was trying to suppress my fashion sense. And my cousins and everyone were listening to rap music, and they're like, "Oh, you need to listen to rap. That rock and roll or that rock shit sucks. Rockers suck." I'm like, "Well, I'm not really a rocker. I like heavy metal, but I'm not really a rocker. But I'm not a rapper. But because you're making fun of me and the things that I like, I'll listen to your rap music and I'll dress in your baggy clothes because that's how my cousins were dressing. That's what my cousins were listening to, and that's who I hung out with." But actually, I was into the Cure. I love the Cure. They're awesome. They're one of my top groups, if not my most favorite group. They're the only competition that the Cure has in my mind for my favorite group would be Depeche Mode. I love Depeche Mode. I love Dieform. Bauhaus. They who wouldn't love a group that has a song dedicated to Bela Lugosi called Bela Lugosi's Dead? I love that song. But again, getting back to the Addams Family Values that came out in the 90s, and MC Hammer doing the Addams Family rap. Really? MC Hammer is going to be hired to do the music for the Addams Family? This is a gothic family. How in the hell? I love MC Hammer. I like his music. Too Legit to Quit. I love all of that. But he is not Addams Family material. So again, going back to what's better, the original Addams Family or the Addams Family Values, guess what? Your music selection right there kills your argument that it's better than the original. But I also love Nine Inch Nails. Marilyn Manson, I like some of his music, but there's something about Marilyn Manson that I don't trust, and I don't know what it is. Um, so, and then when I was older and I was able to go to clubs, I went to Gothic nightclubs. I went to the Asylum in Sacramento. Hey, Asylum people. Bondage a Go-Go in San Francisco. So I was moving in and out of the Gothic scene and the BDSM scene. I mean, people were actively acting out BDSM in the clubs. Um, you know, um, and so, this is totally my world. Duran Duran. I could sit here and go on and on about bands that I love. Movies that I love, the Universal Monsters, Bela Lugosi, all of the Universal Monsters, all those monster movies. I love them to death. He-Man, She-Ra, I still watch those. They're on my Netflix. I'm very scared that they're doing a She-Ra reboot, and I hate that word reboot. I'd like to boot it out of our vocabulary. But I'm interested to see what they do. But after one episode, I'll probably turn it off unless it's something really amazing, which I doubt. Because these are probably millennials or people who really didn't grow up with the show, who are going to try and remake something. So I suppose again with the lifestyle of more towards goth. I grew up by San Francisco, the home of Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. Guess what? I read the Satanic Bible in high school. Not to shock my mom. Why wouldn't it shock my mom? Because my mom was getting into paganism. My mom was learning about becoming a pagan, and into white magic. And so it wasn't to shock my mom. I learned about Santeria. I know about the connections of Santeria to voodoo. I explored all of that. Vampirism. There are people that think that they need to survive in order to survive, they need to drink blood. The people that provide the blood are the donors. Okay, fine. If you're into that, great. But I spell vampire with a Y and not an I. I'm not into witchcraft. I'm not into Satanism because Satanism is atheistic. And it's a bunch of atheists who get together. Anton LaVey grew up in the carnival, much like Rob Zombie, another one of my favorite artists. Grew up in the carnival, was a showman, and he learned how to mock Catholic ceremonies. But when you get down to it, there is no heart in the Church of Satan, in my opinion, because they are atheistic. They don't believe in anything. And I actually believe that there is a greater intelligence out there that created all of this. Whether it's intelligent design, a god, I'm not smart enough to say what it is. For a long time, I thought that I was Luciferian and, a theological, atheist Luciferian. But then the more I thought it, because the Lucifer is over the arts and music and creativity, I thought, well, I could worship Lucifer because he seems to be the one ruling over all of these things that I'm interested in. But then, and he is the morning star. He is the enlightened one. But Lucifer is very jealous of humans in that God said that angels were to be subservient to humans. So he probably looks at us as that we are the masters and he is the slave. And if he can trick us, his masters, into being his slaves, that nothing good can come of that. So I don't trust Lucifer. I do admire the bravery of the Archangel Michael. So if I worship anything, if I pray to any angel, it would probably be to Michael, but I don't pray. But anyway, I've just always had a fashion sense that was my own, and I've always done my own thing and gone off and not followed the crowd, and I still do that. And so I don't know what that labels me as. My favorite YouTubers are Styx Hexenhammer 666, Razor Fist, The Truth Seeker. His name is Josh. Sargon of Akkad. I think that these are some of the most brilliant minds on YouTube. I also like the Political Avenger. And I love how the Political Avenger also sort of grew up around Santeria and Satanism, and she likes to warn people about the dangers of these beliefs and following these practices. So I like that she also doesn't follow the crowd. She's a smart, strong woman who doesn't give a fuck what you think. And these men are very strong, smart men who don't give a fuck what you think, but seem to have the same interests as I would. That, outside of YouTube, I think, these are like the people that I would totally be friends with. Anyway, so am I goth? What would you label me? I don't know. My political beliefs are a totally separate subjects. I'm socially libertarian. I don't care. I want all drugs legal. If you can smoke marijuana, I should be able to go up the street and get a Percocet for my degenerative joint disorder that I have in my jaw, which makes my jaw crooked, which affects the way that I pronounce words. So sometimes my words are a little funny. But it is a very painful condition, and the only thing that I find that helps it is Percocet, which I cannot get from doctors because they think I'm a drug addict if I ask for it. So I think all drugs should be over the counter. If you want gay marriage, I'm totally for gay marriage. But I am very fiscally conservative. I think there should be a safety net for people, but I don't think there's a system that should provide lifelong assistance for people. I think there should be a system that provides temporary assistance to people, because that's what it's for. It's not generational or a lifestyle. So that's sort of my politics. Socially, I'm libertarian, but fiscally, I am conservative. I also believe in having strong borders and controlling and knowing who is coming in and out of our country, that we have a common heritage as Americans. Drop the hyphens. Yes, I have an ethnicity. American is not an ethnicity. American is a heritage. It's a common heritage, a common language, common holidays, common values. And I think if you want to come here, then you should want to be an American and drop the hyphen from your, yeah, you can say my family came from here, so this is my ethnicity. But even still, listening to Richard Spencer, I still don't know where I fit in his ethno state. I tend to lean a lot towards, I consider myself a civic nationalist. I think we're the best country in the world. And there's no amount of money that you could offer me that would make me want to leave my home country. So, Richard Spencer, when you want your ethno state, one, I don't know if I'm welcome in, even though we share a lot of political beliefs that you do not share with a white social justice warrior. So I am more your ally than they are, even though if you look at me, I don't know if you consider me white, since you all say that you can look at someone and see if they're white. So I don't know if I'm in your ethno state or if I'm out of your ethno state, but I tend to think that you're the one who'd want, that your ethno state would want to kick me out, when I'm actually very much a civic nationalist. I don't fall in a Republican Party or a Democrat Party. I fall as a Trumplican. Pragmatic solutions to problems. To find solutions pragmatically to problems. And fuck your feelings. You know, I see the world very much black and white, right and wrong. I don't see a whole lot of gray area. You know, illegal immigration is wrong, period. You know, but, you know, DACA, of course, was always a bargaining chip. It was never really going to be defunct. It was going to be passed by the legislative body as long as, and then as so much as that Congress could make a deal on comprehensive immigration. DACA was the bargaining chip. Donald Trump was never going to deport these so-called dreamers. But anyway, that's another topic. Anyway, I'm out. 3, 2, 1.